Whoop, whoop, whoop. We're on. Good evening, everybody. And
Good evening.
welcome. I will call the meeting of Wednesday, April 22nd to order at 5:15. And on this end, we will rise and join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Mr. Zerlo, would you conduct a roll call?
Mr. Castine.
Present.
Mr. Conroy.
Here.
Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Perrier.
Here.
Mr. Potiker.
Here.
Mr. Rosenquist.
Here.
Mr. Timmons.
Here.
Ms. Waldron.
Here.
President County.
So the chairman, just a point of information. If to avoid as much feedback as possible, just please mute your phones unless you would like to speak. Then obviously unmute your phone. If everybody is unmuted, there seems to be feedback. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All legislators have received a copy of the stenographer's minutes of the April 8th, 20 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. May I have a motion?
Motion.
A motion by Alvin and a second by Bobby Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Next order of business, at this time, I'd like to proclaim the week of May 3rd through the 9th, 2020 as Correctional Officers and Correctional Employees Week. I'd just like to read a paragraph out of the lengthy proclamation that the legislature has in front of them. And whereas the Clinton County Legislature wishes to acknowledge the difficult job the county asks of these officers and employees to perform locked inside a facility for a large part of their day, where they must securely, safely, and humanely keep those committed to the jail, respecting the rights and dignity of all the inmates, including those who have been found guilty and those only awaiting adjudication. And whereas the Clinton County Legislature is desirous of recognizing the good work being done by the correctional officers and correctional employees at the Clinton County Jail, now therefore be it resolved, the Clinton County Legislature hereby proclaims the week of May 3rd through the 9th, 2020 as Correctional Officers and Correctional Employees Week in Clinton County, and does offer those good public servants gratitude for their conscientious service for the people of Clinton County, signed this day, whatever today is.
It's April 22nd.
Thank you.
It's the 50th anniversary of birthday.
Thank you very much.
And the 50th birthday of Gretchen Zerlo.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
You're in trouble now.
Thank you for that. Our meeting format, as the last few meetings, our meeting format, we will not be having public comment this afternoon. However, members of the public are welcome to express their concerns or comments by emailing us at legislature@clintoncountygov.com. That's legislature@clintoncountygov.com.
Chairman, just for the record, we have received over the last two meetings some comments in basket. So people are providing not necessarily comments, but questions on some of the things
Sure.
we're doing, and I'm responding accordingly.
Thank you very much. We will now go to the committee reports. Obviously, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. Each legislator chairs one of the 10 standing committees, and I will call on the chairperson of each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've recently talked to Jim Cleveland. He didn't have a great deal to report. The Building and Ground Committee has not met since the last regular session. Essential staff remain on site to keep building clean, and disinfectant spray continues to be delivered to all departments. Standing committees, meaning have been canceled until further notice. I will report to the board as necessary. End of report.
Thank you, sir. Children and Family Services, Legislator Potter.
The Department of Social.
Muted?
Yes. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Okay. The Children and Family Services Committee has not met since the last regular session. The Department of Social Services employees continue to process Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, and Public Assistance Medicaid and Home Energy Assistance Program, HEAP. Benefit and Child and Adult Protective Services are still operating. Staff has also been assisting the Clinton County Health Department on activities associated with the quarantine of senior housing residents. Standing committees have been canceled until further notice. I will report to the board as necessary. End of report.
Thank you very much. Next is Economic Development, County Operations, Legislator Rosenquist.
Good evening, folks. The Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting has not met since their last regular session. Resolution number 273, which formally establishes the capital project at the former Clinton County Airport, is on the agenda. There's a couple items that I wanted to update people on. I know the main mill dam had been in conversation. I do have a handful of folks that are ready and willing to present to the next Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting. When that happens, I'm keeping those people apprised. And then there's also a piece of legislation that I'm working on around protecting both landlords and tenants from foreclosure that I would like to at some point present to the board through my committee. And as I start to develop a little bit more education and understanding on that, I'll pull in some folks to have conversation to see if there's enough support. As you noted, all standing committees have been canceled until further notice, but as things progress, I will update the board as necessary and report.
All right, thank you very much. Finance, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, the Finance Committee has not met since the last regular session. As I am sure you are aware, the county faces some economic fiscal challenges ahead. We will convene as appropriate to address this situation. Resolutions 254 through 256 and Resolution 276 under Waiver Rule 13.2 have been pulled and placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. Standing committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. End of report.
All right, thank you. Health, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has not met since the last regular session. Resolutions number 257 and Resolution 277 under Waive Rule 13.2 have been pulled and placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. And I'm happy to see that we have Mr. Canoza here with us tonight. We certainly appreciate his updates, and if Mr. Canoza would like to speak to us, we'd be happy to hear it from you.
Over, John.
Good afternoon, legislators. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, John, how are you?
Good. I will proceed to give you the numbers that we have for today. Anyway, I'm happy to say that our numbers are holding steady at a total of 56 lab confirmed positive COVID cases. And that's 3.5 days now, so we're really happy seeing that. No new cases per day is really the number I'm looking for. So we have, of those 56, we have 42 are recovered. Total tests done in Clinton County, 544 suspect cases that have not been tested but are being monitored. Typically they're convalescing at home. 42 suspect cases, and of the 42, 38 have recovered. I have the unfortunate pleasure to also let you know that one other person that was in the ICU that was intubated was unsuccessful and has deceased as of 1 o'clock this afternoon. We just found out from the hospital approximately 4:15 this afternoon. So that would be a fourth related death to COVID-19, fortunately. So other than that, as far as what we're working on strongest today is keeping the messages out there in our community to not let your guard down now, especially important moving forward, that we make the public aware. Look, the numbers are looking really good. You're going to start hearing things on the local news, national news. Things are starting to open up or talk about opening up, and we are working in that direction. But it's most critical that we impress upon all of our constituents, our public, that we do not let our guard down. Keep social distancing. That is number one. If you're sick, stay home. Wash your hands. Wear a mask when you're out in public. When you're, getting a little bit too close to people, we must keep pumping that message out there. And that's pretty much it from our standpoint right now. We're just working a little bit with myself yesterday and today with environmental, getting ready to open facilities, to see that facilities are open in concert with orders, proclamations by the state, by the governor. We're looking at right now, we're standing on May 15th as the day. We have our campgrounds closed until May 1st. We see no reason why they cannot open up, given especially what we have in numbers, where we're seeing a 0 new case per day count occurring. Perfect timing. We have May 1st coming up in a week and a half, so that's good news. We will, though, impress upon campground owners, operators, as the monitors of those campgrounds, to make sure that there are not a lot of big gatherings at the campgrounds. The goal is stay on your own camper lot. Don't mix it up with a lot of people. We still want to maintain that social distancing. And finally, restaurants, we're waiting for some guidance from the state, preferably before May 15th, when the governor's orders on essential versus non-essential businesses expires, that to see where they're going to go with restaurants. 50% capacity opening, or are they going full? We don't know, but we're ready for it from the standpoint of our environmental health safety division staff. So that's it from me. Didn't know if you had any questions.
Golf courses,
Golf course. Well, golf courses, we're closed. Thank you, Michael. Golf courses were closed, much to the dismay of my son and I. But they have since reopened with some caveats, some conditions. You cannot have workers at the golf course. It's preferable that you pay online or drop off a check in an envelope at a drop box and go play golf. I personally told a couple of golf courses, go easy on the carts for a few weeks, ramp up to carts. They're all buying sanitizers to clean the carts, the chemicals and what have you. Guys, let people walk. Let's start this slow. Let's ramp it up slow. Let's not just jump into it. So marinas also are opening. Minimal workers on staff because of close quarters working conditions, but marinas are allowed to be open. Boat launches are allowed to be open. And with our campgrounds on May 1st opening, we're also going to see likely that the governor will open the state DEC and state parks and recreation campgrounds that are in our area too. Sable Point, Point of Rush. No big parties. See, there you go. There's Mike saying it again. Everybody's going to get sick of me, and I think Mike's saying the same thing of no big parties. The next thing, I've also been, since Mike mentioned it, talking with our local CVES representative, Dr. Mark Davey, on graduation. They're getting a little jittery on graduation, how to have graduation. We're saying we got to wait a couple weeks before we can even talk about that. But there are possibilities of doing something virtual, online, or a drive-through with cars. Nobody gets out of the car except for the kid picking up the diploma and getting back in the car. These are just some of the thoughts. People are thinking quite uniquely given the circumstances that are around. So I'm glad to hear it. But we try to take it week by week and go slow. That's the moral of the story.
Can I ask John a question?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
As far as the kids' camps, John, is that something that once that was decided a couple of weeks ago, that means that they will not be opened up for the summer, or is there still a chance that that could happen?
Oh no, they'll be knocking on our door real hard. They're looking like
Okay.
the campgrounds and everything, but all of our facility opens are going to come with, just like when I review a design plan, I include conditions. You will have us inspected. You will have this, and this. We're going to open things with a lot of conditions.
Are the kids camps your decision, or is that the state?
It's the state. The state still has not said no to children's camps. We have closed all children's camps, regular camps, camping colonies until May 1st. We wanted to get a jump on that. So it's part and both, like part the state, part that. They've been just a little slow saying here. They're waiting. They're waiting to see how much better it's going to get, or if it gets worse, and if they have to make that call, because they'll make that call. They're not afraid of that. But I believe they will be open. If that was Robbie, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe they will be open. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Everything is based on status quo. If we can maintain what we got now, get a case here, case there, we're doing good. Okay. If we get a blip, that's going to affect a lot of things. You know that. We're trying to stay away from those blips.
Anything else for John?
John, yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we looking for zero positive cases, or are we just looking for the numbers to remain low?
Remain low. My sincerest hope is zero, of course. No new cases. But obviously that's not realistic. I still think we're going to get a few here and there.
It's just testing ramps up.
I was waiting for that, especially as testing ramps up. See, there you go. Mike knows it. If we're going to get more testing going out there at the hospital, that's where the majority of testing is occurring these days. We're going to see more positives. It's just a matter of time. But I think we've done a really good job of canvassing our neighborhoods, our communities, and sick people are stepping forward saying, I'm sick, I think I got the flu. We tell them to stay home. Those would be a suspect case, okay? We just assume that they have COVID. So if they have to go to the hospital, they will get tested, those suspect cases. So I hope that answers your question.
John, I send the legislature situation report each day.
Oh, you do?
David Russell sends it.
Okay, good.
They are familiar with the daily statistics.
Very good.
You may want to speak, I don't believe on the graph they have the graph, internal graph that we send around.
Yeah.
So, that active case line continues to grow. The difference between the positives coupled with the suspected minus the recovery.
Recovered, right.
That active case line continues
To go down, yes. A few days, 3 days ago, we had 23. Yesterday, 19. Now we're down to 16 active cases that we are monitoring right now. So, which is a good thing. It's really come down quite a bit. Our nurses are doing a hell of a bang-up job in their contact tracing, and that includes a few sheriff's deputies and I believe some investigators from the DA's office. So they're doing a great job.
You also, I know there was an article in the newspaper, maybe briefly talk about the antibody testing that took place in the county and the messaging behind that.
Sure. I'll start with the positive. The state did a good thing. They put together really quickly, as for the governor's order, a plan to get out and do like a trial run of antibody testing from random people. That word random is very important. They did not want to grab people that already had COVID. They just want to get a general sampling of the population at 14 specific county/city locations across the United States. One of them, a blessing, was Plattsburgh. I was notified at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock on Sunday. They were here by 3:30, 4 o'clock. They did, however, forget the lancets, which are the little prick knives to cut the finger to get a blood drop. So they had to run up to the hospital. The hospital thought they were crazy. So they called me. Yes, they're valid. Please give them any lancets that you have. They didn't know. You know, they're doing their work. And they were able to, as I understand, 100 people were tested randomly at Price Chopper. Blood drop samples were taken. It is understood that those people will be told their results. It's not conclusive. So the state is testing their methodology for doing antibody testing and to see the percentage of people in each of these 14 areas of the state who who come back as having antibodies for COVID. So they're hoping for 15 to 20%. There are countries in the world that have, Italy, as I understand, has 20%. That's really good. We don't know what we're going to get here. So the state can't move forward with future antibody testing until they did this trial run. Before you, take a ride in a car, you always take it for a drive around the block before you buy it. This is what that was. It was a pre-test, a preliminary test to see how it would work. So,
But it was done with nothing
connected to
enacted by Clinton County.
Correct.
And we could, the messaging once people heard about testing was obviously that it would be an active test to make sure if you were positive or not.
Right.
That was
No.
not what this was.
No.
And the message we had to make sure we stayed in front of because people started, becoming quite paranoid, looking for COVID tests to be performed on them.
Correct. This is not the COVID test that proves if you have COVID or non-COVID. This is to see if you have the antibodies in your system, in your body. Okay. Yes, Mike is right on one very important thing. We were not any part connected to this. The Clinton County Health Department, that is, or Clinton County for that matter. And we only knew about it just before and or when they were arriving here in Plattsburgh. They did not want to have mobs of people contravening the social distancing requirements. So they kind of just showed up at will, let us know as a courtesy, and went with it. Unfortunately, it would have been nice if the state DOH, my big brothers, had put out a press release maybe at the exact moment when they were running through this testing so that they could answer all the public's questions. Because as you can understand, the public is asking the Clinton County Health Department the questions when they should be asking the state health department. So we're doing a little scampering, backtracking to try to come up with those answers the public is looking for. So is that good? Yeah? So I hope that answers your questions out there. Yeah.
Everybody good? Any other questions? Calvin, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I asked a similar one last meeting. Do we have any anything on the origins and how each of these people were exposed to the virus, so we can educate our people of what to avoid? So
the clear marked identifier for how these people got it is mixing it up in society, lack of social distancing, coming in contact with other people that are not yet symptomatic, so you'd never know, but being in close proximity to them. In most cases, you'll see in other counties, there's maps showing how many are in each town or village. That doesn't do you any good for one big reason. People are not getting sick at home. They're becoming infected when they do go out or mix it up with other people who are infected yet not symptomatic yet. So they're not getting it in their hometowns, in their home villages. They're just not. So it's when you go out, that's when you must dial up and maximize your self-protection. You got to be self-disciplined on this. Wear a mask. Mask can definitely help. It adds another barrier, okay? Protecting others from you, okay? So if we're all wearing masks, we're protecting others from all of us. You're keeping that 6-foot distance. You try to minimize going out. You don't go out 5 times a week. You go out maybe once or twice to go to the grocery store. Just things like that. So we're going to be doing this for a while. It's going to be like this over the summer. But hopefully with a little bit of responsibility by people, self-discipline, everybody doing this, we could still enjoy a good summer, late spring, summer, but just with a little more social distancing in the game. No big parties. No big spaghetti parties, no big parties. That's the point. That is the point.
Anything further? Thank you, sir. Thanks, John.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, that was Mike. That was Mike. Right here.
Family meals.
Moving
Generational
on.
meals.
Human Services, Legislator Conroy's report.
Yes, the Human Services Committee has not met since the last regular session. Standing committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. I'll report to the board as necessary. End of report.
Thank you very much. Personnel, that would be me. I think the bulk of our personnel will be in executive session, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I think that'll be my report unless Mike has something to add on personnel. Okay. End of report for me. Plattsburgh International Airport, Legislator Hall.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We haven't met since our last regular meeting. We would have met tonight. I contacted all the members earlier this month on the items that are on the agenda tonight. Items 258 through 264 have been approved by the committee. And that's all I have for now. End of report.
Thank you. Public Safety, Legislator Castine.
Public Safety Committee has not met since the last regular session. Resolutions 265 through 268 have been polled and placed on the agenda upon recommendations of the committee. Standing committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. I will report to the board as necessary, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Transportation, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, as Chairperson Henry has appointed me acting chair of the Transportation Committee, I will give the report. The Transportation Committee has not met since the last regular session. Resolutions 269 through 272 have been pulled and placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. Standing committee meetings have been canceled until further notice. I will report to the board as necessary. End of report.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you for taking on those additional duties.
Absolutely.
Liaison reports, we'll run through those quickly. Board of Health, that would be me. Jack Canosa gave the report on that. All the things are going on there, similar. Moving right along, Chamber of Commerce, Legislator Rosenquist.
No report, sir.
Okay, Clinton Community College, Legislator Rosenquist.
No report, sir.
Chairman and Legislator Rosenquist, I did speak to the president today. And I know everybody, or if you haven't, there was an article about how the CARES Act funded higher education. Clinton Community College was allocated around $760,000, but that money is encumbered. It can only be used to assist with providing assistance to students, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but the money it cannot be used to assist in any operational shortfalls that the institution has. So, they continue to monitor things as best they can, but I just wanted you to be aware that wasn't in any way a windfall to their operational budget at the college.
Community Service Board, Legislator Conroy.
No report.
Thank you. Cooperative Extension, Legislator Timmons.
No report.
Discipline Review, we have nothing. Grievance Committee, we have nothing. Intercounty, Legislator Waldron.
No report.
Thank you. LCLG, Regional Planning Board, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we met yesterday through a video conference, and basically we passed resolutions to help the small businesses that have closed to defer their payments and try to make it as comfortable as possible for these businesses.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
The report.
Soil and Water, Legislator Perrier or Timmons.
Yes, we did meet last week. We did have a few bills to pay and some grants to accept. We are down another technician again. We have lost one, but decided under the circumstances that we're going to wait on filling that position. If things start ramping up this summer, where you may be looking at adding an extra intern instead for the summer, and then look at filling the position in the fall.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Workforce Development Board, Legislator Rosenquist.
No report.
Thank you. Staff member reports. Ms. Kelleher, you have one, I believe.
Yes, we will be going into executive session tonight to discuss potential MOA with the general unit as well as a furlough policy.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zerl.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a couple of things I'd like to update the board on. Yesterday, I believe, the Office of Emergency Services received a cloth mask, over 20,000 of them, and they immediately started to disseminate them. You recall that the governor's executive order required, these masks obviously for the public, or for the public sector, but when dealing with the public, but also to the general public. So we have been, the emergency services has been disseminating them to the United Way, a couple of thousand, I believe, to the United Way, as well as all senior housing facilities. And we told through the incident command system today, made Michael Cashman aware to disseminate to his towns and villages and the city that there are these cloth masks available. So if you are talking to any of your townships, villages, or city, those of you that represent the city, and that message did not get to them, there is a cache of cloth masks that would be available to comply with the governor's executive order. So we do have enough. So make sure if you want to get hold of me, that's fine, and I can connect folks with EMS. So I just want to let you know. Update on sales tax. I wish it was better. NISAC is now estimating a greater decrease in sales tax than was originally projected in their quote-unquote worst-case scenario. We had been using around 12%. Now they're saying anywhere from 12 to 15. So anybody who follows the news or drives by a gas station, oil was per barrel was negligible. I believe minus $14. So in a fairly, that's going to in turn mean the cost of motor fuel is going to go down, coupled with the fact that less people are driving. So one of our biggest indicators is going to be hurt. So anyway, we're still hoping that it's around the 12%, but it could be around the 15%. Update on federal stimulus. It will be necessary for us to dig out of the hole we're in to be the recipients, all county governments, not Clinton County, all municipal governments. But we will need some sort of federal assistance to come out of this in any fashion. By we, I mean not New York Association of Counties, National Association of Counties. I can tell you, Ms. Waldron, that the value of that membership has paid off. They are doing yeoman's work for county governments through this COVID pandemic. So we were working with, or lobbying hard with, the New York State delegation, Senators Schumer, Gillibrand, Congresswoman Stefanik, on attempting to get direct aid to state and local governments in what they were calling Stimulus 3.5. That is the bill that I believe the Senate passed yesterday, and the House is expected to take up Thursday. We were in the bill until we were out of it. So very discouraging ride home one evening when I was on the National Association call, and we were at the very last minute cut out of that legislation. That being said, there's also very positive news of a Stimulus 4.0. The president, actually the governor met with the president today. The president is on record indicating that he understands there needs to be at least one more financial assistance package, and that it should include aid to state and local governments. And that is going to be critical if we're going to come out of this in any sort of fashion. So we We will continue to work. I know Chairman Henry has been in communication, as have I, with both Senator's office, as well as the Congresswoman's office. I can tell you that the entire New York delegation that represents us is completely supportive of direct aid to state and local governments, including Senator Schumer, who is the main advocate, in the Senate to try to get this through. The bill that did pass, there were a couple positives in there. Most of it was additional aid to the Small Business Administration programs that ran out far quicker than they originally anticipated. Plus, there was an addition for rural hospitals. So, if all things being equal, maybe our local hospital will benefit from the previous bill. We are certainly keeping our fingers crossed as we look forward to Stimulus 4.0. And the last piece that I want to talk to you about tonight is a little positive. The president has indicated that the federal government will pay for 100% of any FEMA reimbursement. That normal formula is 75% federal government, 25% local. And the federal government, I believe, has agreed to 100% reimbursement. Every one of the departments that you lead is keeping track of their FEMA-related expenses associated with COVID-19 in great detail. So in about 3.5 years, we'll get 100% of what we spent on the COVID-19 crisis. But it is positive. We will not have to come up with the additional 25%. And that's all I have, Chairman. So, Mr. Brown has an item, Chairman.
Go ahead, Rodney. I'm sorry.
The county was awarded upon a grant request $400,000 for a home ownership program. It is the 9th time in the last since 2000 that we have received this grant. Because of COVID-19,
First-time home buyers, Rodney?
First-time home buyers. Because of COVID-19, they are providing an opportunity for any municipality who has an awarded grant to repurpose that grant for temporary rental assistance. The criteria that any individual or family must show in order to be eligible to receive it, should the legislature agree that we would repurpose our monies, would be: 1, the tenant must make no more than 80% average median income. There must be it's a maximum of 3 months rental only. The renter must prove that they've been economically impacted by COVID-19, show through a loss of income. They have to prove a loss of income. And lastly, it requires a commitment from the landlord or hotel owner. It could be a hotel owner. If they're staying temporarily in a hotel, they have to have a minimum lease commitment of 90 days, 3 months. So the question that I have for the legislature is, do you want your staff to pursue repurpose of this grant or to continue to use it for home ownership that we traditionally do? I think Legislator Rosenquist had a question.
Yeah, I got it. So does Patty. Go ahead, Chris, and then Patty.
Cool. Thank you. On average, I know that this grant is administered through another agency, correct, Rodney?
Correct. The Housing Assistance Program of Essex County typically administers the grant, and a portion of the grant goes to them.
They would continue to administer it under the new guidelines?
Oh, we would need them to do that, yes. They are experienced in obtaining the documentation from the individuals to prove that they're eligible for the funding.
And would the entire 400,000? Sorry, Patty. Would the entire 400,000 be allocated for this type of rental subsidy, or is it just a portion of the entire amount?
That is up to you. If you're interested in doing this, what I suspect makes the most sense is to use the entire amount of money if we have that many requests. If we don't have that many requests, you'll cut it off at that point, and the remainder would be used for its intended purpose for the home ownership program. But that's up to the legislature.
So meaning, could we say up to a certain date people could apply, or is that what you mean, or up to a certain amount would be allocated, or all of the amount would be allocated until it's used up, or until a certain date to apply?
That's what the former, or the latter. That's what I meant by that. We're estimating that approximately 100 to 120 to 150 people, different people or families, could be helped by this. We may not have more than 150 that meet all of these qualifications.
But it would, a lot of the benefits are accruing, as they should, to the folks who are disadvantaged that have to pay these rents. There's the forgotten landlords who have obligations too, that are trying to do their very best not to be too onerous, and provide their tenants with as much flexibility as possible. So if you guys have approved appropriating these home ownership grants, it not only would assist the renter, but it would also assist the landlord.
Patty?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Rodney, would we be able to make this public for our tenants in Clinton County, and how they would be able to retrieve such funds? I know as a landlord, I'm working with my tenants, and they certainly could use some assistance after being laid off from the restaurants or whatever they were doing out there. And it seems to have, I'm definitely in favor of using these funds toward that cause. I think there's a real need for it, and it helps both tenants and landlords at the same time.
Yes, I spoke with Bruce Masarski last week. He's the executive director for Housing Assistance Program of Essex County, and he recognizes that the first thing that he would need to do is get together with the Press Republican and other media outlets to widely advertise the availability of the monies and the process that would be available for people to apply.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Rodney.
I have it on good authority that Wiry would do that for nothing. Maybe.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
You're quite welcome, Patty. Any other questions for Rodney on this?
Well, we will, Chairman, Rodney, is there a deadline by which you need to know the answer, or are you seeking a thumbs up by consensus?
If they're prepared tonight, it would be helpful to know if it's something that you would like to pursue.
Okay, you don't need a resolution or anything,
No.
right? Is it the sense of the legislators here? Go ahead, Chris. Is it the sense of the legislators that we allow Rodney, or we allow the county to pursue this?
Yes.
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 Any objections? Okay, it looks to me like you all agree, so
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
anything further on that? Any of
That's all I
that?
have.
Okay, it's now time for the chairman's comments. What I'll do here for this quickly is later in the meeting, we shall be discussing the issue of filling the vacant area 8 seat. This is the first opportunity we have had as a legislative body to gather together to discuss the issue. I think the meeting can act as a forum to clarify any of the questions you may have regarding controlling statutes or procedures or challenges to the process that the current COVID-19 crisis puts out there. Obviously, there's a slew of executive orders that may or may not, that could impact it. There's Board of Election issues, and any other observations that you may care to make. Obviously, our local law will be front and center in our conversations. So I suggest that we start with that local law at the appropriate time of the meeting. So we have a lot of things to talk about, resolutions, executive sessions. So I'll just let my comments lay there, and soon we will be discussing that. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendations of those committees. Mr. Zerlo, would you read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Certainly. Resolution 254, resolution calling on the state of New York to release enhanced federal Medicaid matching funds to counties in New York City. Legislature.
Motion, Legislator Timmons, second, Legislator Hall. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In the recently adopted federal legislation, the amount of money that flows to state governments for to assist with Medicaid was reduced. So we should, we, as you know, we pay each week around $360,000 in Medicaid bills. We get bills and we pay that to the state of New York. The enhanced FMAP, federal Medicaid assistance percentage, was increased on the federal level, thereby reducing the amount of weekly share Clinton County would pay the state of New York. That savings was supposed to be directly reduced from our payment. We have not seen that reduction yet. That payment is that reduction is retroactive to January of 2020. So as cash flow begins to tighten, we would like our local shares to be reduced. They have not been reduced yet. So that's one part of this resolution. The second part of this resolution is those weekly shares are estimates. And at the end of each year, there is a reconciliation that the state does. And then most of the time, we essentially overpaid and they have to pay us back. Well, there are 2 years of reconciliation payments resting in the state's coffers. We are estimating that could be as high as $750,000 that's due Clinton County. While I understand, and I truly understand, that the state of New York is facing cash flow issues as well. This is money that they are statutorily obligated to pass through to the county, and we believe that they should not be holding on to these funds. So this resolution does 2 things: lower our weekly share and send us back our reconciliation payment.
Any questions on that? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 255, authorizing various ongoing contracts with abstract companies, Treasurer's Office.
Motion, Legislator Timmons, second, Legislator Conroy. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 256, accepting sealed bids received and authorizing the issuance of deeds, Treasurer's Office.
Motion, Legislator Timmons, second, Legislator Waldron. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, this resolution is regarding our 2 properties in the village of Dannemora. There was a question raised by a legislator that just wanted to ensure that this transaction was vetted by the county attorney, allowing for the title to be given in a different person's name. So, Jackie, I just want you to confirm that to the board.
Yeah, absolutely. The requirement for the bid was that it needs to be prepared and recorded, and so Mr. Tripp asked that it be recorded in the name of Fred Bryant, put that in writing, and it's all been reviewed and legally appropriate.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on that? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 257, authorizing 2020 telehealth project funding, grant application, and acceptance, Health Department.
Motion, Legislator Waldron, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 258, authorizing change order number 1 and final for snow removal equipment, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Perrier. Discussion.
Yeah, Chairman and Rodney, you feel free to comment here. As you know, you authorized me to send out a memorandum directing fiscal constraint to departments. So this one, in normal circumstances, I would not have allowed on the agenda, but it has several good reasons why it's on the agenda this evening. Number one, this piece of equipment would allow for many efficiencies and save us money in the long run. There would be one vehicle on the runway plowing as opposed to two. So you're then saying, well, other than this morning, the snow season has passed us. Why are we doing it now? And the answer is the FAA is going to assume 85%, Rodney? 90%. FAA is going to assume 90% of the cost of that piece of equipment, and that opportunity would not be available to us if we wanted to purchase this piece of equipment next year. So, and quite frankly, it should have come with the original bid. It was an oversight. So that's the only reason that we are expending money on a piece of equipment at this point.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 259, authorizing contract amendment with PM Leary, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 260, authorizing payment of membership dues, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Perrier. Discussion.
I just want to get on the record, this is not so the grass in and around the airfield is green. This membership allows us to receive the insecticide training that is necessary on and around the ramp.
Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 261, authorizing contract extension with Eagle Aviation, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Potiker. Discussion.
Yes, Chairman. A little while ago, I believe that there was some conversation on whether this extension was required legally or not, and I'm not sure if we can talk about other potential options that were discussed in executive session right now, or would it be appropriate to pause this for now and talk about those details of those contracts in executive session and then come back to this item?
Well, we have an expert right here, but my opinion would be if it's an extension of what we talked about in executive session, if you want to expand on that, then I would think it would need to be talked about in executive session, but I will ask Jack.
So is the request to discuss this resolution in executive session and answers potential questions that Mr. Rosenquist has before voting on it?
Yeah, and I believe the last time we talked about this contract was in executive session because there were other factors and potentially other avenues regarding this contract specifically.
I think we can.
I can speak up in here for just without mentioning names or anything. We did go down the other avenues, Chris, before this was decided, and there was no other avenues to go. So the committee felt that the best thing to do was give them a 1-year extension.
So I didn't go to law school, so, but I don't believe it is legitimate to talk about specifically this resolution in executive session. But to your question, Chris, there is a legitimate reason to get advice of counsel on an issue that may put your mind at ease voting on this resolution. So we could lay this aside, have the discussion, and then retake up the resolution after the executive session.
I would certainly appreciate that, just because I did not get a chance to chat with Bobby or you, Mike, or Rodney, or Legislator Henry for that matter, on this resolution. So I would certainly appreciate
just to be
postponing.
Just to be clear, we're not going into executive session to discuss the merits of this resolution. There's some underlying issues that require advice of counsel. Okay, excellent. Anything else on that?
So need to lay that aside, Chairman.
We're going to lay this. Yes, I'm just going to do that. So I will need a vote to lay this aside. I want. Go ahead,
Motion.
Chris.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, I need a motion to lay it aside. A second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Resolution 262, authorizing contract with Bolair Aviation, Plattsburgh International. Motion, Legislator Hall, second, Legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 263, authorizing coronavirus aid relief and economic security CARES Act airport grant application and acceptance, Plattsburgh International. Motion, Legislator Hall, second, Legislator Waldron. Discussion. So yes, we previously said that there was an appropriation outlined in Stimulus 3.0, which was the CARES Act. Under infrastructure, under airports, and Plattsburgh International was designated. This resolution authorizes us to receive in excess of $2 million from the CARES Act. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 264, authorizing lease agreement with Beta Technologies, Plattsburgh International. Motion, Legislator Hall, second, Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 265, authorizing contract with Call-Yo, District Attorney's Office Child Advocacy Center. Motion, Legislator Hall, second, Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 266, authorizing comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance abuse site-based program grant program application, Sheriff's Department. Motion, Legislator Castine, second, Legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 267, authorizing Operation Stone Garden grant application, Sheriff's Department. Motion, Legislator Castine, second, Legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 268, authorizing ongoing contract with globalstar Emergency Services. Motion, Legislator Castine, second, Legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 269, authorizing contract amendment with Fire Protect, Fire and Safety, Highway. Motion, Legislator Timmons. Second, Legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 270, authorizing contract with DLW Merit Heating and Plumbing, Highway.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Potiker. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 271, authorizing the implementation and funding. In the first instance, 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore. True Brook Road Bridge over the True Brook, bridge identification number 335-8320 highway.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Conroy. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution number 272, authorizing contract with Complete Property Management, Clinton County Public Transit.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Potiker. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Mike or Rodney. Is there any reason we can't cut this grass ourselves?
Well, we don't have the equipment at the facility. And if you recall, the management company runs that property. There's no employees from the county that property, so we'd have to transport them from somewhere else.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carries. Resolution 273, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the capital project titled Former County Airport Infrastructure Project, Legislature.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Rosenquist. Discussion?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just got a question. I see that this was a part of what was passed in August of 2019. Was that $500,000 from the tobacco reserve understood at that time in August?
Yes, sir. That's where the money was identified to come from originally when we contemplated this project.
So we're just putting in motion what was passed 8 months ago.
That is accurate. This resolution simply codifies the desire of the county legislature.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Any
Thanks.
further?
Yeah.
Any further on that? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 274, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the HEAP program, social services.
Motion, legislator Potiker, second, legislator Hall. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 275 has been withdrawn. It's simply a duplicate to Resolution 273 with a different title.
Okay, next, I need a motion to waive Rule 13.2.
Motion.
I have a motion by legislator Hall, second.
Second.
Second by Rob. Discussion. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Carried. Resolution 276, authorizing the county treasurer to transfer appropriation from the contingency budget, legislature.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Castine. Discussion.
Yeah, I believe I forget who I tell things to, but we had the opportunity to be part of a consortium through the Association of Counties, coordinated by Dutchess County. We were very fortunate to be eligible to purchase, as part of their contract, 5,000 N95 masks. Obviously, we need to come up with a way to pay the masks. This resolution says we expect reimbursement of 75%. With the new federal designation, this entire cost could be reimbursed. So these masks, the N95s, are still in great need. The repository will be emergency services, probably end up in EMT ambulances, nursing homes, and our local hospital.
Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Mr.
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. I'm sorry, Ms. Waldron had a question.
Go ahead, Patty. Sorry.
I'm sorry, back to the N95 masks real quick. So would, local, emergency departments be able to have access to some of those?
The answer is yes. They need to communicate with Kelly Donahue and his logistics team. There is a whole formula of need depending on who's asking. These are the masks. These are not the surgical masks. These are not the cloth masks. These are the ones reserved for the higher end EMS personnel and hospital personnel and nursing home personnel. So depending on what that request is, the answer could be a definite yes. But they would need to coordinate with emergency services.
Thank you.
Anything further? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 277, amending resolution number 810 dated November 9, 2016, titled Authorizing Early Intervention Administration Grant Application and Acceptance, Health Department.
Motion, Legislator Waldron, second, Legislator Conroy. Discussion.
It seems strange amending a 2016 resolution, but that resolution was for a 5-year grant. We just received word that years 4 and 5 of that grant have been increased. So that's what this resolution does, is accept increased amount in years 4 and 5 of that 2016 award.
Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Carried.
Executive session.
278. We're not going to do that one, right? No? Yes? Maybe?
It was
That-
more.
No big proclamation.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. You want to go into executive session now? All right. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Perrier.
Motion by Mr. Perrier, second by?
Second?
By Calvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay, give us a minute and we'll get into executive session mode. Session here in a minute.
Oh, yeah, we will. So, Chairman, before we
Stop.
continue that, this was 61.
Bob Hall made the, I do on 261, I'll talk about the other.
I'm handing them to you, probably 5-4, sir.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good way to do it. Okay. We are in regular session. Looks like we're all set to go. Going back to the resolution that Chris talked about earlier, that we set aside. Resolution 261, authorizing the contract extension with Eagle Aviation Services, LLC, Plattsburgh International Airport. Motion, Legislator Hall. Second, Legislator Potiker. Discussion? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 278, authorizing memorandum of agreement by and between the County of Clinton and the Civil Service Employees Association Incorporated, Local 1000, AFSCME-AFL-CIO, Clinton County Units 6450 and 6466 of Local 884, Legislature.
I'd like to do this one too, and the next resolution, 5-4, for 278. Mr. Hall, Mr. Perrier.
Yes.
Good. Yes.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And Resolution 279, adopting Clinton County COVID-19 furlough policy, Legislature.
Again, 5-4, Mr. Hall, Mr. Perrier.
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Now, anything else?
Your area 8.
Oh, no, that's not okay. Maybe the last thing for the evening. Area 8 vacancies. As a jumping off spot, as I started in my initial comments, I thought it would be helpful if we at least hit the high points of the law that is controlling this. And obviously, we have Jackie here. There have been questions on this. I've received quite a few. I know Jackie has as well. But we'll go over maybe 3 or 4 of the high points. As I say, it's a starting point, and then we'll go from there. My view is that one of the high points is the law states that they shall fill a vacant office within 30 days by appointment. That would mean, I think, by May 10th. The second high point is, if appointed, they can only serve until the next general election in November. So it would be from, say, May till November. If the legislature does not appoint within 30 days of the vacancy, then there shall be a special election no less than 30 days, nor more than 90 days from the date of the vacancy. And the election date is to be determined by the county legislature. So those are 4. There's other things in here, obviously, but those are 4 of the most common questions I received. Is there anything on that you'd like to ask, comment on, observe?
I think the one piece, Chairman, that was not mentioned is Section 1 obviously is the opportunity to appoint. That action would require 6 votes of the county legislature.
Yes, anything we would do would take 6 votes. Thank you. Anything on that?
And
Go ahead. Yes, Jackie, please.
to be clear, if no action is ever taken, a vote automatically occurs on the last Tuesday for the 90 days.
An election.
An election.
If okay, I'll just leave it at that. You're right. Now, there's some other questions that have been asked of me, and they range all the way across. I've been asked if we could hold the election in November. It would still be a special election because there would still be a year left in the term. And could we just basically postpone all this till November? I don't believe that's an option. But the governor has issued a whole lot of executive orders postponing village elections, postponing caucuses, postponing caucuses, all kinds of things. I don't know, to be honest, and we haven't had enough time to research it with all that is going on, whether there is an opportunity to do that or not. I don't know. It might be something you want to have Jackie explore. If that's a possibility, I don't know that it is. But I've been asked that. I don't have an answer for it.
Hey, Mark, is it true that even if an appointment is made, that the election will still be a special election in November?
I don't believe so. I believe, well,
No.
it wouldn't
Got to
be
cover his year.
the term special election, in my opinion, denotes something other than the general election.
No, I disagree. I believe
It's an election. It's an election at the normally scheduled.
it would be a special election that, for lack of a better term, convenience, would be held during the general election.
Right.
To fill the remainder
Still a
term.
special election because they would only be able to serve the 1 year.
Right.
But it would be on the date of the general election.
So it's kind of semantics, right? But yes.
Right. Okay.
Anything else from anybody? Okay.
You know what? I mean, my reading of that doesn't say the special election or appointment fulfills the unexpired term. It says to the next general election, which I had been reading as November,
Yeah.
meaning that the person who got elected would be done in November because a new person would be then elected to fulfill the unexpired term. Now, I'm trying to find the rules of general construction. So I had a very different interpretation of this when I read
Well,
it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
That's what I was going to say.
No, I'm just using myself as an example. That was the scenario I was in. I believe it's the scenario Francis has been. So there was like 18 months left on the term. I ran in a special election, got elected, and served it to the end. Francis, I believe, I don't want to speak for you, you're doing that right now, right? You're on mute.
I had to put you back. I had to take you off. Take myself off mute.
Okay.
From what I understand, if we appoint somebody
Okay, good.
to run on, are you hearing me?
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Okay, if we appoint somebody, but until the election, then whoever runs for the election takes the place of it. You know, we put somebody in there, but not just until the election takes place. Then it will be a special election because it's only for the District 8. It'll still be called a special election. But in this section 2 here, I don't understand part of it, if you could clarify it, where it says, but if the term of such legislature shall expire. That little paragraph right there, could you explain that a little better? And that's in the local law number 5 in section 2.
Yes, if this, I believe I can, and again, I will bow to Jackie. If this happened next year, when it would be the end of the term, so if this was a year from now, the appointee will hold the office just for the remainder of the term, for whatever the term would be. So that I don't think even applies here now. That would apply if it was in the last year of somebody's election. So there's like, just for the sake of argument, it's not 2 years, but let's say this term is for 2 years, 18 months. So the laws that we're looking at apply to this now. This section, I believe, Jackie, is only what you're talking about would only apply in the last year of the vacancy.
And it's only in reference to someone who would be appointed.
That's right. And theoretically, too, that would not necessarily, it is in this case, but it might not be till November. Somebody's term might expire in July. So in the last year of their term, they would only serve till July. Rob, I think you have a question.
No, actually I didn't.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Sorry. Anything else on that? All right. Now,
So there is one more
Yes,
piece
please.
of information, Chairman, that I think the board should be aware. According to the dates outlined in this local law, 30 days after the current vacancy would put us May 10th.
May 10th.
And our next regular session is
May 13th.
May 13th. So I'm not advocating a position, trust me. But if the legislature came to an agreement on an appointment, whether that appointment be a short-term appointment or a potential long-term appointment, a special meeting of the board would have to be held.
Yeah, we'd have to do that because it would be past the time. So we would be looking at a special election, a special meeting between now and then. There are a couple things, I just want to make sure you all receive this because there's been a lot of stuff flying around. So I mention this just so I'm sure you all know. The one of the pieces of this is that the governor's executive order postponed caucuses until June 1st. So theoretically, the parties couldn't meet to select a candidate until June 1st. That would, go ahead, Jeff.
Executive Order 20216. A caucus may continue if held remotely through the use of telephone conference, video conference, and/or similar service, provided that notice for the party caucus be held remotely shall be deemed satisfied as such notice of specific information, and filed with the clerk and board of elections at least 5 days ahead of time.
Okay, so then thank you. So to clarify, there could be a caucus, but it would have to be done exactly as we're doing it over the phone or whatever.
Order outline.
So, but you couldn't have a caucus where everybody showed up at the town hall and selected a candidate or did it through the normal process. Not until June 1st anyhow. Now, but even if it's electronic, it's still not until June 1st, or can it be prior to that?
The caucus can be June 1st. All elections have been postponed.
Yes, but what I'm saying is,
when can the
Caucus could, as long as they do the notice, which is required, which is 5 days,
okay,
they could do a caucus anytime before June 1st.
anytime, as long as it's electronic.
And it's all laid out what you need to do in 202.16.
Okay, so if you're going to meet, it's June 1st to select a candidate. Prior to that, it would have to be done electronically. And then let's just go with the June 1st date just to start someplace. If it was a June 1st date that somebody was selected, that means the election would be July 7th, July 8th.
The election would have to be July 7th. The latest it could be is July 7th.
Okay, so that would give a candidate from June 1st till July 7th to run and get organized and do those types of things. Unless you did it electronically, and that could maybe give them a few more, a week or so. There is also the issue of early voting. Now, for that, I would wish I had somebody for the Board of Elections, but that's okay. The early voting, I think, would start on June 23rd for the July 7th vote. So, theoretically, again, going from the July 1st caucus, then you would have from June 1st till, I believe, June 23rd, 22 days to run your election, to hit the early voting. And then with absentee ballots, that even makes it a little more of a hustle for everyone to get down there and get the Board of Elections doing that. So I think the time frames, and again, I'm just telling you this because I get all these questions. I'm trying to make sure everybody's on the same page here. That constricts the time frames down even more, I believe, for your absentee voters. So there are a lot of balls in the air when it comes to making your decision as to what you'd like to do. Is there anything to this point? Okay. Michael, do you have anything to add that I might have forgotten?
No, I think you've laid it out, Chairman. The only thing, and folks, I don't want you to think I'm advocating for any position. I'm just trying to give everybody all the facts. The paper did a pretty good job this morning outlining the previous decisions the county legislature has made. Obviously, none of those decisions were under the cloud of a COVID-19 pandemic, but there has been special elections, and there has been an appointment. The appointment, however, since my tenure, was an appointment that was somewhat temporary, someone to fill the seat who had a general understanding of county government with the complete understanding that that person that was appointed would not be a candidate in the fall election. So I just wanted to know that that potentially is something for the legislature to consider.
That was Sarah Rowden, Mike.
That was Sarah Rowden, correct?
Yeah.
And
Let me,
Walker. No, Jackie. What I'm saying is Jackie Walker is a former legislator that I could think of that resides in Area 8.
Oh, she didn't cover her position.
No.
Oh, I thought she was in.
She is a termed out legislator.
Oh, I see. I didn't understand that. Okay. Somebody started to say something. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Number one, I have done some checking on this, and there's no guarantee that anybody can make or be positive. Yes, you can get somebody to come up there and say, I'll fill that spot and I won't run. But if that person changed their mind and wanted to run in the fall, they could do it. Nobody could stop them.
I suppose that's true. I suppose that's true.
No. I have been there for 6 years. I have watched 2 special elections, one for yourself, one for Francis, both Republican candidates. You both succeeded. You both are doing a fantastic job as far as I'm concerned. I see no reason whatsoever for us not to have a special election. It's not a money issue. They have canceled all kinds of things that are going to save the Board of Election money, so it's not a big problem. A candidate really wants to run for this office and do this job, which takes up a considerable amount of time on all of us, as we all know. He's only got 30 days or 40 days to get his name out there and do the job. He can do it, or she can do it. There's no reason in this world why we should not have a special election whatsoever.
Okay, that's if they do the electronic, you're right. If they do it from June 1, then you're looking at the early elections 23rd. That's like 22 days to run your campaign.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but in the Clinton County, there's very few people that run for public office that aren't known by somebody. And the word gets out there very fast, and everybody knows everybody in Clinton County. So, to me, that's not an issue. If you really want to do this job and you're interested in running county government and you want to work as hard as all of us do, then you're going to get your name out there. You can do it.
The only issue there is a order by the governor extending that June 1 would put us in a massive what you just described is accurate, Bob, and that fits within the local law. But if for whatever reason the governor extended the pause order beyond the June 1, or elections beyond June 1, then we would be out of compliance with our local law. So we'd have to come up with another solution at that point.
Now, that's a different story, and I agree with you.
I'll get you. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, I think the question that I have is, the June 1 hinges on what? Like some type of party primary or party appointment or party endorsement?
That's what the governor in his executive order, when he kicked this all down the road because of COVID-19, that is the date that the governor selected when these caucuses would be.
No, it'd be the village election, school board election.
Yeah.
He's canceled all of that stuff.
That's right, but this is a county election. So how does this June 1 date factor into?
It's an election, so it can't happen before June 1.
It is.
I only gave you the example of the village and the school because those are happening in May. Those would have happened in May.
So the whole Bobby, you got to mute yourself, buddy. The whole thing here is that in my understanding is that parties don't necessarily have to endorse a candidate for that candidate to run for that party. Any candidate can run, and I don't think in a special election even, you don't need signatures on petitions to get your name on the ballot, correct?
Well, I think in a special election that you only need to get on the ballot. I think there's only 2 ways of special election. Your party endorses you, and you get on it that way. Okay. I still think you have to run. And then if you're running on your own in order to get on a ballot, you would have to, you'd have to petition, you'd have to get on some line somewhere, the Bull Moose Party or something.
Yeah,
Look, that's a good question, Chris. I do believe the party endorsement would be enough. But Francis, when you ran, I tried to remember, when you ran, did you have to go out and pass petitions around?
No.
Okay, I did. I'm just thinking back to me. I didn't either. So you wouldn't have to pass the petitions around, but you have to campaign, you know. But to answer your other question, Chris, on just anybody that's not going to seek the party endorsement to do it, I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't. You would have to do something, I would guess. That would be a question for Board of Elections, and one we can find out. I just don't have the answer for you right here.
You know, at the end of the day, this comes down to a real true desire for anybody who wants to run for office. If they're pretty clear on the timeline, if we look at a June election for the special election, it lines up with all the other area elections, the city election, and the presidential primary. So there really would be no reason to not hold the special election on that date. Rather than push it out to, say, July or something like that. If the question is, how does the candidate get onto the ballot, if it is a matter of party endorsement, then that is what it is. And if parties can endorse electronically, then that's what they have to do. You know, and then on top of that, if the candidate is going to run a special election in June on the 23rd, and then be required to run another election in November for the following year, and then run another election the following year, hey, you know, you gotta kind of want to serve public office to do that, and if that's the case, then that's the case. That's how it is.
I'm sorry, Jack.
There's not a,
If whoever's elected in June or July goes to the end of Mr. Dave's vacated term.
Okay, well that's even better for them then. It's two elections, one in June, one in November. Done.
That's right.
Possibility. Nope, I'm losing people here. They're flashing everywhere. No, they're speaking. Oh, okay. Any other questions? Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I agree with what Bobby, and I think you were in agreement too. But I just would be curious about the cost to the towns, and also if there's a special election, you know, let's just keep in mind as well to, I believe if May 15th would probably be where, you know, things start to loosen up. But we still have to be cautious of, you know, the employees that have to work for the polls. I do believe this could be done, but I'd like to proceed, you know, with extra caution and make sure that if this is the way that we go, that the towns understand how much the cost would be to them, seeing as they're also under duress, and what type of way we would move forward with a special election, providing some of our workers are elderly, and we want to make sure we protect them or make the candidate feel comfortable on how to do this as well.
Sure, that's a good point. I think overall, I mean, obviously there's a cost. The cost will be borne by the town because and the city. Yeah. That cost will be borne by the town and the city. It crosses over both. Just a point of information is the estimate that we gave him based on worst case scenarios did not come to fruition. Right. So Michael mentioned that he had budgeted X number of dollars for the cost of elections for this year. Due to many circumstances, that cost that they were budgeted is going to be less than that. So they're not going. It is most likely that they are not going to spend they're not going to have to pay what we estimated. It will be well under that. That does not mean there's not a cost to this election, but it's not going to go over their budgeted amount. But you raised something that I was wondering about. I have not yet, or maybe actually a couple of legislators were wondering how the town, because they're impacted by this in municipal government and the city, what input we had from those entities as far as what they might like to see as they're part of that Area A. So I'm asking you, has anybody heard, and it may be important for us to go out, and I will do it, or whatever, y'all can do it on your own, to check with them and see, get their views. I think that would be valuable. Anything else on this topic?
I'd just like to say that if we appointed somebody, if the two parties got together and appointed somebody with the agreement, I know, like Bobby said, there's no guarantee that they won't want to run, but we take them out, take their word, and if we could get together and appoint somebody from either party to sit in there just until election day, then we negate all the stuff we've been talking about, wouldn't we?
Perhaps. I mean, there's other viewpoints out there. I hear them all from everybody, everywhere, every day. So there's many viewpoints out there.
Yes.
Francis?
What I have to do tonight?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Bob.
Francis, if it was just you and I picking that person, I would not have a problem with that. But you know and I know the Republican Party is not going to let you pick a Democrat to fill that spot. And the Democrat is not going to let the Republican Party pick a Republican to do that spot. So the special election is the fairest way to go. We proved it, and you and Mark Henry are living proof that we proved it, and it turned out fine. You have two excellent legislators that I don't have a problem serving with, and I think you guys are the middle of the road. You do not go one way or the other when it comes to major voting issues, and I think we're making a drastic mistake if we don't stick the way we have done things for the last 6 years, have a special election.
But I have to be the first to say that we didn't have all this going on when I ran. You know, we got expenses, like you said, the cost is not going to be more.
There's not going to be any factor, Francis.
The cost isn't going to be a factor.
No.
Well, it would be. I mean, it's going to be less than they budgeted for, but it's still money they're going to have to spend that they would have. They didn't have to spend it. I mean, there's always that. But it's within their budget, well within their budget.
Yeah, but at this time, the budgets are pretty much out the window. Budgets have.
Well, you're not wrong, Rick. You're not wrong.
They're to base anything on what we budgeted is the money coming in is not going to be anywhere as near to cover the money going out.
That's right. Every dime you save is a dime you have for later. That's exactly right.
And I just as a point of information, as everybody is crystal clear, the town of Plattsburgh and the city of Plattsburgh both take sales tax as a cash payment, not as a credit on their tax bill. So the county would not be able to float them like they would for somebody who takes their sales tax as a credit on the county rate within their municipality. So Rick is drastically right. I mean, what they have budgeted, they're gonna have less revenue coming in. So
yeah, no matter how you look at it, that's true. That's true.
So can I summarize
Anything you want? Yes, ma'am.
procedurally what we have going on here? So under section 1, 6 people could, if we had 6 yes votes, a person could be appointed to the county legislature by May 10th. That person would sit on the legislature until the upcoming general election this November of 2020. Alternatively,
the appointment.
Okay, so, and then while that there's no one that could prohibit that person from running, but that person would have to run in November. And otherwise, if the legislature agrees on nothing, then we have that deadline vote of July 6th of when this election would have to occur. Right now, we've got a situation under the executive order that people are not allowed to go out and petition. We also have a situation where school boards are supposed to be holding their elections on May 19th, and they are still indefinitely postponed. There is no date for the school elections, and that's for their budget and for their Board of Education members. Those Board of Education members have not been allowed to go out and petition. And so that's going to be coming up. That may wind up being in that January or June 20-something vote date, or it might be sooner because schools that don't pass their budget need time before July 30th to pass a budget. So certainly we are looking at a very dynamic month of June in the election world here in New York. So I just sort of wanted to just sort of lay out what is the other background outside of the county elections and the primaries that are going on there as well.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead. No?
Oh,
Rob?
No, Rob, yeah, I got a question. So I guess the other question, going back to an appointment, Bob, is what if it was a Democrat that was put in only until the fall election? Is that something, and I don't even know how we would approach that back to the Republican Party? Is that an option?
If you're asking me, Rob, I don't believe it is. I do not believe the Republican Party is going to let you appoint a Democrat in that spot.
Excuse me.
Yes, Pat?
That would actually be up to the legislators if we appointed somebody from within ourselves. I mean, that would be the 9 of us choosing it, not the parties.
can I, in running this year, I noticed that there's a whole lot of people who aren't Republicans or Democrats, so I think we've got a big pool to choose from that wouldn't be either party, and someone who might agree not to run. The other question is to Jackie, what happens if we can't agree? I'm leaning toward the July 6th or 7th, I think it's the 7th, for the voting date, but we need to get 6 legislators to agree to that. What happens if the legislature can't agree on a date? What happens there?
That date is set in the law. So that's what happens if no one can agree on anything. That's the date.
There will be a special meeting on that.
They'll be on that date.
Yeah, Mr. Castine, the July 7th is the fallback, automatic, fallback per the local law. So the default, yes, that's the default date if no action is taken by the county legislature.
Okay.
And I believe the law says, if I'm reading it correctly, of course, the special, if your scenario plays out, Calvin, then the date shall be set, and it says the special election shall take place on the Tuesday preceding the 19th day. 90th, I'm sorry, the 90th day. That's that July 7th date.
Right.
So that date's set.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, somebody said something. Okay, no, anything else?
So I guess the question then is, how do we know we would go back to having a special meeting if we do come to something? Contact you?
I would need to hear from the legislature. You know, we only need to do a special meeting if there's an agreement on an appointment. Other than that, no action. The terms are then determined. Right.
So it becomes the July 7th?
So the answer is, the legislature, would need to have some sort of consensus and let me know, and then I would have to comply with the public officers law and notify the press of the special meeting.
Right. So when we get done here, I guess I'm not speaking for you. I'm just, as I say, just trying to educate everybody, make sure your questions are answered. We can caucus and figure out what we got based on what we've all learned tonight, and then get back to Michael and see what we're going to do.
And again, just to reiterate, the only reason you would have to ask me to proceed with the special meeting is if the caucuses resulted in the desire for an appointment.
Yes, that's right. If we do nothing, then it plays itself out. Anything further?
However, I apologize. I don't want to mess this up. That's still a decision. Doing nothing is still a decision.
Yeah, that's right.
And you would want to notify the public of that quote unquote lack of decision, because you would want to give your candidate as much time as possible to be candidates essentially.
Well, those are all good takeaways. They're all good points that everybody raised. I'm sure there's going to be more discussion. And if you have nothing further on this, and we have nothing left here, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I adjourn.
I have a motion from Rob. Second.
Second.
Bobby. Well, I'm Bobby Hall on second. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.